for the White River National Forest. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll give you an update on the situation in Hanging Lake and more broadly in the canyon. So I'll run through who we have up for you today. And the way we're going to do this is on this single computer. We're going to pass the laptop so that just so that it's smooth and that you have a nice picture of who's speaking. So there could be some clunkiness on it, but we think this is probably the best way to do it so you have a good close shot of folks. So first up, we'll have Scott Fitzwilliams, and that's Fitzwilliams, and he's the forest supervisor for the White River National Forest. We'll move to Ken Murphy, M-U-R-P-H-Y, who is the owner of H2O, which is the company that runs the reservation system for Hanging Lake. And then Deborah Figueroa, who is Stefanik, and he is he's the deputy chief of engineering for CDOT, and he's also the deputy IC on the canyon response. And then remotely, we'll hear from Colleen Coleman with the National Forest Foundation, and then we'll open it up to questions. So with that, I will slide the computer over to Scott Fitzwilliams.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to joining us. We haven't had time until this week to get up to, or the ability to get up to Hanging Lake until this week, and we really wanted to have the media join us in that. But given the weather today and tomorrow and the next day, it's just not going to be safe to get up there. Unfortunately, what I have to share for you is not great news about Hanging Lake. The trail going to Hanging Lake has been significantly damaged. We've had numerous bridges damaged. We've had bridges completely washed out, and much of the trail as you go up is under a debris field of some sort of another. So unfortunately, we're announcing today that Hanging Lake is going to remain closed for the foreseeable future. I wish I could tell you how long. We need to get up there and do a little better assessment of what can be done, but this is not a minor trail reroute or something like that. It's really a complete reconstruction that's needed. So we do have some good news. The lake itself and the boardwalk around the lake is in great shape. The lake is clearing up from its chocolate milk color from a couple of weeks ago. Fish are still alive. They're still swimming around in there, and most of the infrastructure and surrounding area around Hanging Lake proper is in good shape. So that's some good news. We're going to show you some pictures a little later here in this discussion to show you what we have as far as the damage to the trail. And as we get more pictures, we'll make them available to the media. And like I said, at some point, get you up there and let you see it for yourself. As I said, the trail is going to require major repair, and this is not something that we have a contingency fund to do. So we're going to work to first get an assessment of what it's going to take, what it's going to cost, and things like that, and then start to figure out how we're going to find the funds to repair this. We know this is tough news for the community. And tough news for people who just really are fond of Hanging Lake, but we'll get it back to life someday. I'm committed for sure to doing everything we can to get the trail open and get people back to visiting Hanging Lake as soon as we can. But that is not going to be a quick situation. It's for sure for the rest of this season into fall and probably into next season. Hanging Lake will remain closed. Like I said, we'll be doing more assessments as soon as we can. Next couple of days, weather-wise, it's not safe to go up there. There's still, every time it rains, every time we get a front, we're going to all react the same. And that's with some nervousness of what's going to happen. And what we can't do is have people in there because of the potential for slides and a lot of loose material. I don't know anything about what this is going to cost, how long it'll take to repair this trail, but it will be significant. So as soon as we can get you up there, we will. What I'd like to do now is slide the computer over to Ken Murphy, and he's going to talk a little bit about the reservations, cancellations, refunds, things like that.
And that's when the show photos.
Oh yeah, first, before I do that, we're going to show you some photos. I apologize. If you could pull those up, and I'll kind of walk through them. So hopefully you can see these. So this is Hanging Lake a few days ago. You can see it's clearing up a little bit. It's still a little foggy, but getting there. Go ahead, next screen, next slide. Spouting Rock is still there and spouting, so that's good news. And the water's a little cloudy, but as we expect, over time this will clear up. As we get more rains, it'll probably get a little sedimentation into it and have a little dirtier water. Go ahead. Again, another shot of the lake. Oops. This is the beginning of what you'll see a lot of, and that is massive debris slides across the trail. I'm not sure exactly what that crushed, but obviously there's some structure in there that's gone, and these are the things we're going to have to deal with. And for those of you who know Hanging Lake, this is not something we can drive trucks and large equipment to. This is part of the assessment we have to do is figure out what type of equipment we can do and how much handwork we're going to have to do. Go ahead. Here's a picture of a bridge that's been damaged pretty well, and you can see that the creek there is actually rerouted around the bridge instead of under the bridge, so which is typical in large debris flows. That hard hat is just there for scale. We didn't lose someone, just so you know. It's just to give you a sense of size and scale of that. But go ahead to the next slide. Where the gentleman standing there is where a bridge was, and where they had to search for it downstream a ways to find it. So you can see it completely took out the bridge, the abutments, and everything that associated with it. Now we have a large gaping hole and a lot of material. You can see how much material moved in those end of July rain events. Another bridge and a large boulder. That bridge is in pretty bad shape, as you can see. Likely will have to be completely replaced. And one of the things we're going to look at as we're doing this assessment is we need to redesign the trail to meet what is the new landscape out there. We don't want to build, as you can see, with this amount of material in the drainages now, to build the same bridge with the same spans and heights would be a little foolish, because we'll probably lose them again. So go ahead, next slide. I think that's it. So there's some slides. We're going to make those available and links to all of you, and as we get more, we'll certainly provide that. And like I said, I really want to get the media up there. I think it's, when it stops raining, it's safe enough. It's a little harder hike, as you can see, but for you to be able to tell that story and see that story, I think is important. So I'm going to turn it over to Ken Murphy. He's going to talk a little bit about reservations, refunds, and what to expect in the future.
Hello, everybody. Well, from the point of that storm, we had approximately over 15,000 existing reservations through the rest of the season. So we obviously don't have the staff to call all 15,000 reservations, and we have on the email confirmation for everybody's reservation is a access where they could go on and put their reservation number in and cancel their reservation and get an immediate refund. We have staff answering questions. People are trying to plan their vacations here in the fall, and they're concerned about Hanging Lake. And up to this point, we didn't know if we were going to be able to open or not. So we've been asking people to hang on to their reservations, but as of today, we will be acknowledging that it'll be closed for the foreseeable future. So, you know, portions of these proceeds go to the U.S. Forest Service for the Hanging Lake area. So this is definitely a loss for the trail area and all the developments that happen around Hanging Lake. And then again, we have staff that have monitored Hanging Lake, ran the gate, the trail, and fortunately we've had to give them the bad news today that Hanging Lake will not be open. So any questions after this, I'm happy to answer. As I say, by the numbers, about 15,000 reservations left on the books. And there was the ability to add about another 20,000 people to that during that time frame. So it is an economic loss to visitors coming to Glenwood Springs. And I suppose what our staff is doing is giving people alternatives, Maroon Bells. We handle the reservations up there. So we're telling them, you know, visit Maroon Bells, visit other hiking areas that we have in our community and still come to Glenwood Springs. Don't be turned off just because Hanging Lake may be closed. There is also wonderful other recreational opportunities in our area. And I suppose that's the most important part we can do, is to educate the visitor that was going to come to the area, planning to come to the area, still come. Plenty to do. I can pass the computer over to Deborah, say happy to answer any questions later.
We are devastated to hear the news of Hanging Lake. This iconic destination is so close to the hearts of our community, the state of Colorado, and in many ways, the world. It is part of the natural and recreational landscape that contributes to the unique beauty of our region. As a city, we're committed to working closely with our partners to rebuild, including looking for strategic funding opportunities. Meanwhile, if you're wondering how you can support our community, please still come to Glenwood. We are very much open. We have so many other trails and amenities and things to do for you to enjoy. So we're looking forward to you continuing to still vacation in our town. I want to thank CDOT and the Forest Service for all their efforts, and we know we will rebuild this trail together. And thank you, Ken, for his wonderful partnership over the last few years.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Keith Stefanik. I'm the Deputy Chief Engineer for CDOT and also the Deputy Incident Commander up on the Glenwood Canyon Emergency Repair Project. I was asked to come today to just give an overall update on where CDOT is at with the canyon repairs. I want to first start off and say thank you to the community and thank you to all of the users of I-70 for their patience while CDOT is able to assess the damage and restore I-70 to traffic. We were successful last Saturday morning of getting a minimum of one lane in each direction established throughout the canyon. Throughout the canyon, you'll have a majority of 2 lanes in each direction, with the exception of milepost 123.5, which we call Blue Gulch. That's the area that we suffered the most infrastructure damage within the canyon. I think we have a few pictures that we will walk through and just show you the damage and some of the reconstruction that we did. So we'll start off with that. Next slide, please. So this is, I believe, an embedded video, but this drone video really shows the damage that it has occurred at milepost 123.5 to both the westbound direction and the eastbound direction. So if you'd like to hit play. So you can see a lot of the debris flow throughout the river, and then just creeping up right now is the main damage that has occurred on east. The lower is eastbound and the upper is westbound. Blue Gulch is, like I said, where we suffered the most extensive damage during that. We were able to get that safely repaired. This is just going up the gulch a little bit just to show more of the aftermath and destruction of how the canyon has changed. So next picture, please. The image on the left is probably from, I would say, Tuesday of last week, where our crews were able to uncover the damage, and as Governor Polis refers to it as the pothole from hell on the eastbound side. We were able to square that up, make sure we had significant embankment underneath it with rock embankment, and then pave it on Friday of last week. So you see our paving crews on the right establishing that section of pavement. So that is what the canyon, when you drive down through eastbound, looks like now. So next slide, please. What's important to note is we're not out of the clear yet. The canyon has changed significantly over the past several months. The last major event that has occurred through this canyon was on July 30th and 31st. We are not sure exactly how this canyon will react to the next event. With that said, we do have heavy rains in the forecast for today and tomorrow. We will be very conservative, and if the National Weather Service issues a watch, the flash flood watch, our crews will be dispatched to the closure locations and placed on hold. If we see a significant rainfall occurring before the National Weather Service hits a flash flood warning, we will close the road with the help of CSP. If the National Weather Service declares a warning, we will immediately shut down the road. This is for everyone's safety, not only the traveling public, but for also our crews and everyone involved. We want to make sure no one is trapped in the canyon and everyone is evacuated safely. We will monitor the conditions of the event that occurs over the next few days. Our hope is that we don't experience the intensity that we saw on the 30th and 31st. That is exactly what caused the damages, approximately 2.8 inches in 15 minutes. So that is what we don't want. We think the canyon can handle some smaller events, but we want to make sure it handles that safely. So please pay attention to the overhead VMS boards, cotrip.org, and we will try to message this out as soon as possible and far in advance as possible. Please plan your trip and stay safe. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Colleen Coleman.
Thank you so much for that. And hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Again, I'm tuning in from the West Coast over in the Seattle area where I live. Our Colorado team is out in the field today. So what we wanted to share certainly is same heartache that you are all experiencing. This is a beloved area, certainly to the National Forest Foundation and very specifically to our Colorado team. So much so that we had one of our favorite content producers go out just on Memorial Day weekend and film here. So what we would like to do is focus our Colorado fund, which I will share here in the chat. We started a White River Restoration Fund last year with the Grizzly Creek fire. Those funds were set to help create a study that was supposed to move forward this month. Unfortunately, that is on hold for now. But in the meantime, we feel strongly about this area and we are very committed to helping with the restoration, no matter how long it takes. Certainly, with Scott's comments that the trail will not look the same, the trail will not be in the same place, and that takes funding. So to do our part, again, I'm going to share in the chat this fund that will be focused not only on what we thought maybe would be tree planting after the Grizzly Creek fire, but additionally the trail restoration. So look for that from us after this conference wraps at about 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. My team at the National Forest Foundation will start promoting the fund so that individuals can start contributions for restoration, as well as we'll be working quite closely with our corporate partners, especially in the Colorado area, to help raise funds to get the work done. So I'll just go ahead and share that with you all now. Actually, I'm not sure as a panelist that I can drop anything in the chat. So we'll make sure you get that information. And if somebody has an idea on how I can drop something in the chat right now as a panelist, please feel free to let me know. Oh, there it is. Great. So the link that I have shared in the chat, support.nationalforest.org/White River National Forest. Again, we've set up a very specific fund just for the White River so that the funds stay in the area. And you'll see us really start to promote this again within the next hour. Back to you, team Hanging Lake and Forest Service.
Okay, thank you, Colleen. Really appreciate that. So we'll open it up to questions now, and raise your hand, and Brianna Starbuck, who's helping us from the city at Glenwood Springs, will unmute you. Is that how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
First up, we have John Stroud that's listening.
Okay, so first questions from John Stroud.
Yes, John Stroud from the Glenwood Post-Independent. A couple of questions. First of all, remind me, how many bridges are there on that trail?
I think there are 7, John. That's what I'm being told. There were seven.
Were 7, yeah, exactly. And then a question, well, first of all, have you gone up any of the other trails, Grizzly and No Name, and are you seeing similar situation with the condition of those trails also?
No, that's on the list, but I will tell you, we've brought back a lot of specialists and working with USGS and specialists from the Bear team last year. They were on the ground all day yesterday. They're hoping to get in the air today to start to get better assessments. What we're trying to do in the big picture of the canyon, John, is see what if there are anything more or additional mitigation measures we can do in the uplands. Most of this debris in this slide and the water that generates the debris is coming from way up top, well above the canyon walls. And so we're looking at throughout the whole canyon where we've seen these main slides up top, can we do anything? And so is there mulching? Is there, check dams? Is there, an opportunity to do diagonal felling of trees across drainages? So we're approaching this with a no stone unturned intent, and that is we're going to look at every possible opportunity to both speed the recovery of the restoration of the burned area and do whatever we can to slow debris flows, watershed protection, things like that. Does that help?
That does. And then just one last question while I have the floor here. For Keith, probably, I know obviously the main focus is on the highway repairs that need to be made, but what kind of assessment have you done with the recreation path at this point? And is that also likely to be closed for the remainder of this year and into next year?
You bet. John, our first focus is the highway. The commerce and the visitors and the users of the interstate is our first focus. The recreational path, yes, we understand that it is a necessity for the community, but we want to make sure that we can safely open 2 lanes in each direction, get the commerce flowing back through I-70. And regarding the bike path, there are impacts of the bike path. The bike path is completely gone at 123.5, along with portions of the interstate that we have restored. We also have portions of the bike path that are still underwater, and until we're able to coordinate with some of the other agencies, being the Army Corps of Engineers and the Forest Service and other agencies within the river, we need to be able to divert some of the river away from the interstate to assess more of the bike path damage and mitigate any future damage to the interstate through that as well. So that is something that's on our list. It is The interstate, once again, is our priority, but we will be taking a look at that. The repair work that's going on, that will be going on. Let me back up. The repair work that has occurred on the interstate is to get the interstate open in one lane in each direction. We will be opening bids tomorrow on an emergency repair project to restore 2 lanes in each direction by Thanksgiving of this year. That is our emergency repair project that we call it. We will also have permanent repairs that will go on throughout the canyon. That bike path will most likely be in that permanent repair project, as well as potential geohazard mitigation through some of the gulches. So once we get that project bid, then we will focus on what the permanent repairs throughout that canyon will be.
Thanks, that's it.
John Meyer.
Next up, John Meyer with the Denver Post.
Hey, guys. First of all, I apologize to everybody on the call, media and official types. I missed the first 4 minutes of audio. I'm wondering if I can just ask a couple questions that you all know the answers to, but I didn't get. First of all, how long do you expect it to take for Hanging Lake, the water in Hanging Lake, to appear like it did before, that beautiful emerald? How long will it take to recover? And then how long do you think it will take for this project to rebuild the trail, rebuild these new 7 bridges and reorient the trail, et cetera? What's the timeline for the water returning to normal and also for the trail to be open?
Yeah, John, the water returning to normal depends what rain events we get in the near future. It's clearing up, and if it stays relatively dry or the rain events are more normal, I think in a few weeks we're going to see it pretty clear. There's more, it brought in sedimentation, so the bottom of the lake is got a layer of sedimentation on it, and that's just going to take a lot longer to naturally filter out. But in a few weeks, month, assuming we don't get any 500-year, 100-year, or anything in between rain events like we've had. The trail, the pictures we had, we just sent a couple of seasonals and a trail crew people or whatever to go up there, see if it was passable, and take some pictures. As soon as the weather permits, we're going to send engineers, hydrologists, trail specialists, trail designers, landscape architects to start to do an initial assessment of how long it'll take. If I had the money today, John, it would take a year to do that. And that is, being optimistic. So it's a huge project, and it's going to take a whole new redesign of that trail, given we have a new landscape. The drainages have completely changed. The crossings have changed. So I'm afraid it's a ways out. And we'll, as we know more, and like I said, we really want to have the media join us next, when our specialists go up there, and maybe we'll learn more that way as when they get a better look at it.
Okay, so does that mean, therefore, don't expect Hanging Lake hiking to occur next summer as well as this year? I thought one of the first things I heard you say that it might be into next summer.
Yeah.
Like now you're saying maybe next summer is off the table.
Yeah, I wish I could predict for sure, John, but I would be very surprised if that trail is passable and safe enough for people next summer at this time. Here's why I'm hedging a little, John. Is one of the things we're going to look at, is there a way to make the trail passable and safe, different for sure, and you may be walking through creeks instead of over them, but is there a way to make them passable and safe while we do the redesign and get ready for the new construction? That's the question I can't ask. So that's why I'm hedging a little bit. I'd love to say, we can we can do that for sure, or make it at least passable and get people up there. But I can't say that for sure till we get a little bit more information.
Okay, again, I apologize to all, and I would just ask one last question. So is it, do I get it that all 7 bridges on that trail are gone or not
No.
gone? But,
No.
but
They're in various degrees of disrepair. One is completely gone. I think that's bridge number 2. I'd have to look again, but several of them have significant damage. And then others, the debris flow has filled up the drainage to the point where there's almost no space between, debris and the bridge. So somehow, next debris flow, that bridge is going to go out. So it just varies from bridge to bridge, but there's only one that's completely gone, and then others destroyed or impacted in various ways.
thank you.
All right, John.
Okay, next up is Ron Melhorn, KMTS.
Ron, KMTS, how are you?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Scott, a question for you. Have you experienced anything similar in your career that you'll be able to draw upon as you guide the Forest Service through the rebuilding of the Hanging Lake Trail?
A little bit. I worked in Southeast Alaska for 5 years and led the recreation program there. And if you've ever been up in that Sitka, Juneau area, steep, wet, and rocky. And we had building trail there was a totally different monster. And we talked about this as a staff after we saw the pictures is we need to bring in those experts. They're also experts with the Park Service and Rocky Mountain National Park that specialize in this kind of design in these kind of conditions. So that's where we're going to head, Ron. Like I said, we want to build whatever we do at this point, we're going to build the trail for the next 100 years, not to just get it by. So between, funding and expertise, we're going to look to those types of places. We're dealing, unfortunately, we had a 500-year storm, a rain event, and hopefully I don't live long enough to see the next one of those 500 years, Ron, but that's the hard part is you just never know. This is how rivers and canyons are created, is 500-year events and changed. It's just more difficult when we have the infrastructure, interstate, power lines, recreation facilities.
Thank you. Question for Ken. Obviously, Ken, a big hit for you financially in the community. Will your company be able to take advantage of some of the state and federal disaster funds, or is it strictly relying on the good graces of tourists finding a way to Glenwood Springs?
Yeah, for our own company, Ron, we haven't even looked at that as yet. Sure. Right now, thinking of our staff that were in place and that was their employment. We've been lucky to be able to move some up to the Maroon Bells, and we're going to be talking to the rest of our team today. I think not only is it a hit to us, but Hanging Lake is the #1 searchable activity for our area, for Glenwood Springs. So I think it's very important that although Hanging Lake is the jewel, the gold bar and everything we have here, that we have so much more to offer. And I suppose that's what our company now will do for the next few weeks while we're dealing with guests that had advanced reservations, is explaining that although Hanging Lake is no longer available to them, there's plenty of alternatives. White River National Forest is, as you know, the #1 recreation forest in the country, and there's lots of things to do here. So I suppose that's the message. We proposed a message similar to the fire of last year, where if people wanted to leave their reservation in place, we would donate those funds to the City of Glenwood Springs and the Forest Service towards the restoration of Hanging Lake. So that's an important message we're going to put out there. Obviously, they can go online and cancel their reservation and get an immediate refund too. And our staff is sitting in the office answering calls and questions about people's vacation. Hanging Lake is as you know, it's not only a Glenwood activity. It's a state activity. It's a bucket list. And hopefully those people will come back in a year or two and complete that bucket list and see all the hard work that Scott and his team is going to do over the next year.
Thanks, Ken. One last question for Keith. For those of us who've been able to drive through the canyon since it reopened, by the way, hats off to the crews and everyone who did just work diligently and tirelessly to get that job done. Tell me about the sandbags and what the purpose they serve and how effective are they?
Well, Ron, and thanks for bringing that up regarding the crews. We have some of the best maintenance crews in the state here working long hours, 12 hours days, sometimes more than that, away from their families, relocated from other portions of the state to get I-70 open to the traveling public. I can't be more proud to be on Team CDOT right now, seeing our forces do that. So appreciate you bringing that up. With that said, what we call the super sacks, what those are, they're large sandbags, basically. The sandbags that you see down in the south or around any type of flooding, they're just large, just a lot larger than what a person can carry around. So those sacks are approximately 3,000 pounds or 1.5 tons each. The intent of those are to provide a layer of protection for our workers and for also the traveling public as they're moving through I-70. With the changes in topography of the canyon, we have done some aerial surveys and aerial drone of any type of rockfall protection above there. We feel fairly confident that a lot of the debris and rocks have come down, but if there by chance are small to medium rocks that come down, those super sacks are there to basically dissipate the energy from those rocks and stop them or slow them down before they get to I-70. We want to make sure everyone is safe out there. So that is our temporary rockfall mitigation aspect. We will be looking at a larger rockfall mitigation as part of the permanent repairs, but that was the quickest and the most effective way that we could get I-70 open in the short amount of time. Whether they'll work or not, we're very confident, but time will tell. They can't hurt, they can only help. So that was our strategy moving forward.
Thank you.
Matthew.
Hey, yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Great, I appreciate y'all's time. I just had one probably for Ken. How much of the $12 permit goes to conservation specifically, and will the 15,000, I believe it was people seeking refunds, have the option of donating their refund to the trails reconstruction directly?
Yes, well, I'll go back a step. First of all, there was 50,000 reservations on the books. Presently, as people were calling in, we didn't know the state of the trails. So we were letting people know, hang on to your September reservation or your October reservation, because the alternative was how popular Hanging Lake was. If they were to give up their reservation, and we were here sitting, having a press release on how Hanging Lake was saved and the trail was perfect, if they'd given up their reservation, they possibly wouldn't have got a reservation again. It would have been taken right away. So now the message is no, unfortunately, Hanging Lake's not going to be available to you in September. And if you would like to keep your reservation in place, then we would donate 100% of the proceeds to the Hanging Lake Restoration Fund. I expect that will be set up. So that's our messaging at this point. The initial guests who lost their reservation the day of and the last 2 weeks, they've had the ability to go online and get that immediate refund. We are answering phones, but again, it's hard to keep up with not only the existing reservations, but also the visitors that wanted to come that still have no idea that I-70 is in this, or the Glenwood Canyon is in this state. There is a lot of people that come to our area that have no idea of what we're dealing with right now. So our staff has kind of become sort of a concierge to, alternatives and educating them on coming to Glenwood and everything from biking through the canyon to rafting through the canyon to alternative hikes. So that's where we are at the moment. We've simplified the process by being able to have this system in place where they go into their confirmation email, get the link to cancel their reservation and get that automatic refund versus trying to get frustrated to onto one of our reservationists to go ahead and cancel their reservation. So everybody has the ability to get an automatic refund right away. And then we would hope that, following this first press release, that the message gets out and people might want to donate those funds for, obviously the sooner the better we get Hanging Lake open for our community.
All right. That's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Excuse me. All right. Well, I think that's the last of the questions we have. We will get the photos out to y'all. We'll send a link. That is the recording of this press conference. So one more question. John.
Hey, at this time I actually have something maybe that hasn't already been answered, but in talking about the lake, Scott, you mentioned that it's clearing, but there's going to be sediment in there. And I think you said that would take time to clear. Is it believed that eventually the lake will look like it did a year ago before the fire? Because it wasn't just the aquamarine color of the water, but obviously the bottom. When will the bottom look the same, or is there any way? And I know this is also dependent on weather and stuff, but I guess the bottom of my question is, will it someday look like it did 14 months ago?
I absolutely believe that. I think it will. I think, but certainly in the winter, I think it's going to be very clear because generally we don't get much sedimentation in the winter. But yeah, it's just, this is pretty natural. I actually have talked to some folks that have been around a long time, and they remember as kids being up there when it rained hard and it clouded up a little bit, not to the level that we had here the last couple of weeks, but they have seen it where it was more milky color than the gin color that we're accustomed to. So short answer, John, yeah, it's going to clear up. It's going to take some time. We've done some drone flights up the drainages from Hanging Lake, and we have some of the sharpest people in the country reviewing those drone flights, so we can get a better sense of where sedimentation is coming from, where, if there's anything we can do, what we, expectations. So as we learn more, we'll pass it on. But good question. But I think we can say clearly to the public that Hanging Lake will be back. It'll be back to its gorgeous, clear state that we used to. It's going to take a while.
Thank you.
You bet.
Great. All right. Are we good? Okay. So we will send the link, the recording of this press conference, the other materials you saw, the photos, and we'll get those out to you here as soon as we can. And I want to thank everyone for joining us and your patience with the passing of the computer. So, and thanks everyone here for participating.
Good job, everyone.